So first of all, welcome to everybody at home. This is the vote.j Q&A time with the St Clement constable or Connétable candidate, Marcus Troy. And of course, Marcus, you're standing unopposed this time, although of course we do have the none of the above option this time round. But basically, welcome, Marcus.
Thank you.
And welcome to everybody at home. You can get your questions in now too, Marcus, if you want to ask anything about the St Clement parish or what Marcus will be hoping to do if he gets re-elected. He will have 1 minute to answer each question. And we're quite strict on the timing, which is probably quite good because we're going to be firing questions at you with nobody else to give you a break.
Okay.
And so please keep your questions fair. And as we said all the way along, although there's only one candidate, please ask questions which would be appropriate for everybody to answer if they were going to be asking the questions. So, okay, I'm going to first of all start off. Now, obviously, you came in partway through the last term.
Indeed.
What do you see as the major issues that you inherited when you came on board, and what would you try to achieve if you got re-elected?
What I found, which opened my eyes, is the huge situation with mental health and well-being in the parish. We have a mixed parish. We have some disenfranchised people, and we have a hardcore sort of conservative type voters. And we need to help the people who need help the most, and mental health is an issue. So we're putting together some, we've got a quiet lounge which we're trying to open in September, which will be run by professionals, which will be free to parishioners, has a side door, so nobody needs to be named and what have you. And those professionals will then seek to move them on to particular help that they might need. It might be depression, it might be suicidal thoughts or what have you, but there is a big need.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's probably an island-wide issue as well,
Yes.
Isn't it? How will you represent and make yourself available to parishioners?
I think they know I'm always available. Today I saw 3 people with personal issues, and we always fit them in. And it can be during the daytime, weekends, or in the evenings. It could be planning issues, it could be care issues. I saw some people about care issues this morning. It could be farming issues. So the broad brush. And if I don't know the answer to the questions, then what we'll do is we'll investigate further, because you can't be an expert on everything.
No, thank you. Okay, so everybody at home who's joining us now, don't forget you can get your questions in. There's a Q&A section on the Zoom webinar. So put your questions now to Marcus. Got to talk about the kind of one of the burning issues which comes up constantly in St Clement in particular, and again another island-wide issue is housing.
Yes.
I know we've had the island plan debate. What are your feelings about housing and about protecting green fields within the parish?
I don't think you can be entirely prescriptive, but we have experience now with the Andium Homes development, the new development in Clonmore, where the flats are good quality, but they're very small. But the infrastructure for the people that are living in them, a lot of one-parent families with young children, is not up to standard. We have a playground there which is caged. Reminds you of Mad Max and the Thunderdome. It's just not appropriate, and it backs on to the back of the car park, where of course all the fumes come out. So I think a lot more thinking, and that's what we're about. We're in touch with them, talking to them, trying to address the issues. And also the Marrow, we don't think there's enough infrastructure in the Marrow. Could do with a cafe. Kids aren't allowed to play ball games in the whole of the Marrow, and there's a lot of open space. So we're training our kids not to play, and we want them healthy and happy. And that goes to well-being, it goes to physical health and nutrition as well.
Okay, thank you. I mean, kind of taking that on forward as well, do you feel that there's enough community facilities? Do you feel that there's any age group or any section of the population within St Clement which are under?
I think the youth. I think the youth by and large. I know there are moves afoot to build on the Rocky School playing field. That's a good move, and I do understand that it's not going to belong to the Rocky School. It will be a development that can be used by all parts of the parish and further afield, and I think it's needed, and the West is very well looked after. We have a fair amount. We have the FB fields, we have the paddle courts, the golf club, And we have St Clement Sports and Social Club, which is very successful. We need to help those go further.
Okay. And one of the burning issues, of course, in the island, and it's come up in every single one of these sessions, has been about the cost of living increase. And obviously there's a lot of concern for people, particularly facing winter time.
Yes.
Is there anything that you feel as a parish that you can do to help ease that burden for people?
Yeah, we have probably the best community services volunteers in the island. In fact, we're going to do a seminar for 6 or 7 other parishes very shortly at the parish hall to bring them on to the way that we do things. And we pay out a certain amount of money every month, not a fixed amount. We take each case as it comes through our trusts. We've invested our trusts wisely. We make interest, and that money goes forward to help people in need. Food vouchers, fuel vouchers, anything that they need that they apply for. And so long as they pass the test, that they're not millionaires or what have you, we'll do our very best to help them.
Okay, thank you. And Jenny's asked a question. She said, how would you encourage less use of cars on the congested roads within the parish? Because obviously St Clement's funneling people towards St Helier as well. Yeah,
we've been speaking to Evie. They are doing good work with Andium. I think they've provided 30 cars in the new Le Marais Clermont area. Bicycles, we want to put some dedicated parking spaces for the EV bikes, because they're being left everywhere and they look untidy. And if we have certain drop-off points, for example, outside the Hock Pub in our car park there, which we own, at Lamar Slip, where we have car parking, inside Le Marais, etc., then we can help with that. Also, the EV cars, the big thing. What worries me though is we haven't got the infrastructure, and I think we're going to be late on the carbon footprint timetable.
And you've mentioned bikes there. I mean, that's one of the issues. Obviously, Grouville's brought in a lot of cycle pathways. Do you think you've done enough, or the parish has done enough to help cyclists?
No, not yet. But you see, because we're congested, it's unravelling all the mixture of ownership of land and bits of land and getting the route together. We're on it, and IHE helping with that. And I think the FB Fields is going to have a route through the side of the FB Fields. And that'll link up Green Road, etc., etc. So it's work in progress.
And of course, one of the issues that always comes up, both the coast road and the inner road, is speeding. Again, are you happy that enough is being done to curb speeding?
No, I'm very disappointed at the moment, because IHE and St Clement's Parish, through Len originally, started a lot of consultation work to slow down the traffic in St Clement's. So we've got about 12 roads that we want to reduce from 30 to 20, for example. We want to build some more sleeping policemen and do some other things as well. But it's been frozen because of Further. Now, to me, government needs to crack on. And, there are potentially lives in danger. We have not enough parking spaces. So we're trying to reorganise sight lines in areas where there's no commercial vehicles, for example, because they block out the sight lines because they have no windows. So it's very much a work in progress. We've just bought 2 of the smiley face radar, about £3,000 each, and they're being programmed at the moment. So we're working on it.
Okay, thank you. And Emma Legale's asked a question. It's picking up on what you were saying before, that you feel that young people aren't perhaps being given enough facilities in the parish. She said, how will you be engaging with the youth in your parish? Because obviously when you go to parish meetings, it's often quite the older generation.
Yeah, what I've put in the manifesto is that we will be reaching out to every household in the parish with a questionnaire on all sorts of topics, youth situation, recycling, and all sorts of topics, because we feel sometimes that the parish hall assemblies are good, but they can be almost rigged. If you were to get 50 people of your friends who vehemently wants recycling, and you get them there first, and we've only got 80 seats, for example, we're going to win the day. So we think we need to find a way to reach out to more people and get the truth and get the numbers as accurate as possible.
Okay, you talked about recycling. I know that there was a parish meeting to talk about curbside recycling, which you'd said in your, I think, original manifesto. What happened there, and what's going to happen?
We're in a bit of a pickle. because there seems to be, I mean, what people don't know, island-wide probably, is the main refuse collectors are about to put the rates up, in any case, by 20 to 50%. So we have that issue. We had an assembly, we discussed the potential cost. The potential cost is 50% more of their rates bill, because it's the most expensive item on the rates bill. And the parishioners didn't like that. But there is cost to everything. We have 7 go-to recycling centres in St Clement's, which for an area of 4.8 square metres is pretty good, really. And the feeling I get is a lot of people need more information. So I've been in touch with Piers Tarr, and I want some more information.
Okay. And Jenny's asked, you were talking again about mental health and physical health, of course, as well. She said, do you think that there is an adequate variety of sports facilities in the parish that meets all needs?
I think we've got a lot. We've got golf, paddle tennis. We don't have a swimming pool. Now that would encompass all age groups immediately. I mean, I'm a child from the Fort Regent days, and that would encompass all age groups. And if they build the swimming pool in St Clement's, which I'm sure that they will, people will be able to book it as clubs, etc., all through age groups. And I think that's a good thing. We've got petanque. Obviously, there's cycling all the way around the parish, although I have to be honest, it frightens me, the coast road and the inner roads sometimes, because of the way people overtake cyclists, etc. But I think we're moving in the right direction.
Okay. Now, do you, I mean, one of the changes, of course, this time round is that the electoral system has changed, which has in many ways benefited St Clement, because we've got more deputy candidates now. Are you happy with the way the electoral system has changed, or would you like to see a return to the island-wide mandate? Because it's been coming up on a lot of doorsteps. It
has been coming up on a lot of doorsteps, and a lot of people coming into the parish hall are saying they're not in favour of the present system. And if you were to gauge just vocally, I would say 75% are just not happy, and they want to return to the old system as soon as possible. There's a lot of talent that were senators. And I have to say that, you know, you can be a constable, you look after the parish primarily, deputy, parish and constituents, senators who probably are a slight league above, perhaps a little bit more business acumen, accountancy acumen, etc. And I think they are the ones that should be the ministers of the portfolio. So I'm in favour of the return.
Okay, and you touched on there about the constable role. Do you think that Connétables should hold other government offices, or do you think they should purely focus on the parish?
I think they should be very careful. I'm on planning, but I'm not a minister or an assistant minister, and I can gauge my time accordingly, and I can cope with that. But I wouldn't suggest that constables become ministers of any of the state's portfolio. It's too much work, and I don't think they would cope adequately.
Okay, and one of the questions that people have been asked is what kind of leadership style do you have? What are you bringing to the table if you were to be re-elected?
I'm liaison. I've been in hospitality all my life. We're not dictatorial. We put a situation, we discuss, and we kick it around. You have to bear in mind that in the parishes, we probably have about 70 volunteers who get paid nothing for the jobs that they do, rates inspectors, the honorary police, the community volunteers, the roads officers, the roads inspectors, etc. They're invaluable. So I'm not in any way dictatorial. We just have to talk, come to a decision, maybe have a vote. Like normally, we agree in any case, because common sense rules at the end of the day. So that's my style. I'm always available.
Okay, thank you. And please, you still just got enough time, got a few more minutes to get your questions in. If anybody who's at home who has a burning question for Marcus, who is the St Clement Connétable candidate. Marine Park, that's something that's coming up again. I saw it in the JP again today. Do you support the kind of move to create a larger marine park around Jersey?
Absolutely. I think it's conservation. It looks after the island. It protects our fish and regenerates the fish. I'm a big fan, but it needs to be, I think there was a vote a little while ago. We had Portlet declare the marine park. I think that's a good move. It's not big enough. I know the Crows and the Minkies are designated, and we have the Ramsar, which is a large part in St Clement. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I grew up fishing, surfing, doing everything in the sea. So I'm a big fan. Yeah.
Okay. And what one of the other problems is Jersey farmers are struggling for a whole variety of reasons: cost basis, staffing, etc., etc. Is there anything you feel you can do either within the parish or what you would like to do in the assembly to support agriculture and the farmers in the parish?
I think you've got to pick and choose. I mean, if we're being very, very honest, the farms that have been in generations for 3 or 4 generations they may not be cash rich, but they're equity rich. They have big fields with substantial amounts of money. They have big farmhouses and outbuildings with substantial amounts of money. Many of them have greenhouses with very substantial amounts of money. So I think you have to have a policy which looks at every case in turn. And I would be particularly fond of helping people out who are startups with a different edge to the farming fraternity.
And what about small businesses moving away from just agriculture? Do you think that there's more that should be done to support small businesses? They're the lifeblood of Jersey, really. Yeah, essentially.
I think you can give them tax breaks straight away. I think you can help them. I mean, the government gave out a lot of money during COVID and helped small businesses, and that was hugely successful. There is no reason to say that with the government's borrowings at a very low rate of interest, that they can't help small businesses with a good business plan going forward, and then they get back the money as they become more successful. I think the trick is to make sure that money comes back.
Okay. And the environment, the government has some quite, what some people feel are ambitious targets with regard to cutting carbon emissions.
Yeah.
Do you think it is ambitious? Do you think they're doing enough?
I don't think it's government's fault, but I think circumstances have taken over, and I don't see them providing the infrastructure that is going to be adequate for effectively killing off the petrol and diesel engine by 2050. I just can't see it happening the way we are. I'd like to see it happening, but I just can't see it. But certainly we should aim for it. We should aim high, and wherever you get, that's a success story, as long as it's better than today.
Okay, and a final question. I've got there's no more questions coming online, but if you were re-elected, look forward to 4 years' time, what would you like to see as being your kind of legacy of what you've achieved over those 4 years? What would you like to sort of tick off your to-do list?
I want to see a more balanced society in St Clement's primarily. I want to see more investment island-wide on mental health, mental well-being, and the care package. I mean, clearly we've run out of money. I saw some people a couple of weeks ago who were struggling. They can't find a carer to look after an individual that I can't tell you about, but they can't find anybody. We're short of staff. So we need to do a package where we're paying them enough, accommodating them in reasonable accommodation, and giving them the professional qualifications going forward so that we retain them. And those are the things that are important to me.
Okay, and within the parish itself?
Within the parish, as I say, we're doing some work where we want to buy a mobile. So we've got 2 outreaches we're working on. So we have it's like the listening lounge. So we're going to do a listening lounge in one of our committee rooms on a couple of days a week. And then for people who don't want to come in embarrassed or what have you, we'll have a mobile, and it'll just be talk to me. And then all the subjects, bullying, drug addiction, alcoholism, gambling, all the things, that's just to remind people what they can talk about. And we'll truck up, park, we'll have some professionals there, honorary police, but not in their uniforms, and the community services as well. And I think people will attend, and those will be the people we can catch and help out who might not ordinarily go to an organisation.
Lovely. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Marcus
Okay,
Troy, who
thank
is Connétable candidate for St Clement, and thank you everybody for joining us at home and for your questions. You are, of course, going to be facing the electoral vote in a week's time. There is pre-polling going on if you need to be voting early. That's in St Paul's Centre in town. You've got to bring photo ID, just a quick question there. And all the information that you need to find is on vote.je, of course. So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you, Marcus, for joining us online.
Great pleasure. Thank you.